I recently spent some time on Google Earth scoping out new canyons, remote locations, and hard to reach places. The goal was to find anything that stuck out to me or anything that looked like it didn't quite fit in the area. And that's when I came across this. It's a little wash right next to some railroad tracks, and at first I thought they might be some old railroad cars that might have derailed or caught fire, and they decided to dump them in the wash. But they looked a little too small for that. They could also be old cars, refrigerators, or wagons from the old Wild West days. Worst comes to worst, it could just be a place where people dump trash. But after a teeny bit of research, I have a fairly good idea of what these objects are. And if they are what I think they are, I need to see this for myself. Welcome to Jesse's Drone Adventures, everybody. We just made it to the starting point, and we're going to follow this railroad track behind me here. Well, the bridge. We're going to follow the tracks for about another 2 to 3 miles, I want to say, and that is where this so-called abandoned cluster of whatever it was that I found on Google Earth is supposedly sitting. The only thing that sucks is they just got a whole crap load of rain here over the past couple days, and actually I was supposed to be out here 2 days ago filming this episode, but it was just raining so much and I couldn't get my drone or my camera out. So we're gonna head up there, follow the tracks, and see what it is. I was pretty eager to start my trek out in the desert, and for the most part, it was a rather gorgeous day, minus the storm clouds on the north side. The forecast did show partly cloudy skies and did not say anything about rain, but I wasn't ready to trust it, considering I was out here a couple days prior and it said it wasn't supposed to rain until 4 in the afternoon. I got there around 11 in the morning and it was already downpouring, so this time around, I figured I'd speed things up. I had no idea what this structure was, but I figured it couldn't hurt to take a peek with the drone, and as you can see, it was nothing to phone home about. I did ride around the area and started to find a bunch of random items. I can only conclude that this is where people go to dump unwanted items because they can't afford to dispose of them the proper way. Cheapskates. Stopped to check this thing out right behind me for a quick minute and nothing interesting, and I thought we were there because I remember seeing this photo on Google or Twitter or something where I assume it was a father and his son kind of staring down into the wash, and I thought that was it right above me, but I flew my drone over there real quick and I didn't see anything, and I checked Google Maps and it turns out we actually have about 1.5 miles to go. Now we're getting close. This is what it looked like on the photo that I saw online. It looked like a giant wash just like this, and it was a cluster of, I don't know what it was, whether it was railroad cars, refrigerators, coffins, or if it's just a bunch of old scrap metal. I do not know, but this is what it looks like. And before we head down, or try to find a way to head down, I'm gonna get my drone out real quick and scope out the area. I don't wanna walk all the way down there and then just to have it not be there and then have to hike all the way back up. When it comes to exploring with a drone, you never know what you're gonna find, especially in washes like this. The rain can be a very powerful force, and like I said, this area got hit hard with rain over the past couple days, and it's always interesting to see what the rain can expose or what flash floods can bring through these washes. Hopefully it didn't carry away my Google Earth find, because that would suck. I found this next part very fascinating. Here you can see how erosion has created all these different grooves and crevices along the banks. It's kind of similar to that of Antelope Canyon in northern Arizona. I really wanted to get down in there and see if I could find anything, because this is what part of Lake Mead looked like a few years ago when the water levels were dropping like crazy, and I found so many things in those crevices, such as cell phones, tackle, knives, hats, coffee cups, wallets, you name it. But I did have to restrain myself because, by the looks of it, this stuff is still very soft, and the last thing I wanted to do was walk down there and get stuck and have to call 911. Not even joking, some of this stuff is like quicksand. I was seconds away from landing my drone when something caught my eye. I went in for a closer look, and it appeared to be the remnants of a homeless encampment. My guess would be whoever was calling this place home was recently evicted by Mother Nature with very little notice. A little further down from this site, I found what I thought was a big pile of trash. And, well, you know what, it is, and I'll elaborate on that in just a second. But sadly, some people think it's okay to dump their trash out in the desert. And to those people that do that, I hope you step on a Lego and stub your toe. But if you look closely, you can see that there is at least 2 or 3 makeshift shelters here. One right about here, and it looks like there might be a couple more underneath these branches. And in fact, if I freeze the frame right here, you can even see a mattress. Being that I was pretty far south in Arizona, I didn't want to F around and find out. There's no telling who is staying here and what their intentions are, and I got a feeling they probably aren't friendly. So I continued on. Listening to that train go by every so often was excruciating. It was like nails on chalkboard, while at the same time listening to my girlfriend rant about the desperate housewives of Orange County. Absolutely painful. But back to the journey. After I got done filming the homeless encampment, a white truck was coming from the direction that I was heading in. I was a little nervous at first because I was thinking to myself, what could they possibly be doing way out here? But then again, I'm sure they thought the same about me. I did chat it up with them for a couple of minutes, and they asked me if I wanted to see something cool. Right then and there, I figured they were probably coming from the location that I was out there to find. And they confirmed for me what I was looking for was still there, and it was exactly what I thought it was. And after another short ride along the tracks, here's what I found. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally found what we came out here looking for. And look what it is. It is literally a canyon full of old cars. I'm sure by now you're probably asking yourself the same set of questions that I'm asking, with the number one question being, how on Earth, or Mars for that matter, does something like this happen? How do dozens of classic cars like this that were once somebody's pride and joy end up in a wash miles out in the desert? And the crazy part is, once I made it back home and started researching this place, I was surprised by how little information exists. The only results that populated on Google was a picture taken here back around 2010. With little information being available, my mind started to wander, and it eventually led me to the conclusion that maybe I just found Arizona's version of the train station. And if you don't get that reference, I highly suggest that you get a subscription to Paramount Network and watch Yellowstone. I showed some pictures of this place to my friend that doesn't live too far away in Kingman, Arizona, and he said maybe you found a spot where the mafia would dump people's cars after they whacked them for cheating in casinos. Now, if this was near Las Vegas, Reno, or Laughlin, I would say he's onto something, but to my knowledge, there aren't any casinos nearby, and I don't think the closest town is big enough to have a mafia, in my humble opinion. Now, a couple minutes ago when I chatted it up with the people in the white truck, I did ask them if they knew the backstory as to how all of these cars ended up here. And I'll get back to that in a minute here, but for now, let's hike down in the canyon and see what we can find. Hopefully we don't run into any rattlers. Eek. I have no idea what this one was. Part of me wants to say Oldsmobile, but I really have no clue. If you guys know what make and model this car is, let me know down in the comment section. Getting down there is actually the easy part, but it's the getting back up that becomes a problem. Look at all that metal and steel. As long as these aren't too hot, I think we can kind of play hopscotch on the cars here and make it down to the very end. If we can crawl all the way back there, that would be the ideal thing. I think we'll be able to. This goes pretty deep. That's what they were telling me. It's like 6 cars deep. Look at that bumper. Still got some chrome on it. That one too. Well, Jesse, how did you spend your weekend? Oh, I was crawling through a canyon full of cars. That's what I was doing. Quick peek inside this one here. Everything was either gutted before they tossed the cars down here, or it was gutted after. Hey, this one's still got an interior. Someone's obviously been coming out here with either, I don't know what that is, 9mm, 22, who knows. Got the steering wheel. See if I can zoom in on the gauges here. I'm gonna guess whatever car this was, definitely from the 50s. Here's a look inside another car. I'm gonna say this one was probably a 50s as well. Look at that, still got chrome on it. Let's check out this guy. Yeah, that one's been gutted as well. Looks like people have probably been in there. There's a few shoe prints. Gauges, glove, everything's been ripped out. There's the car I want to get back to, and I think if I crawl down here, I should be able to shimmy my way across the wash all the way over there. I'm sure a lot of the interiors have succumbed to the elements, such as weather and rodents, coyotes, other little animals that call these places home for a while. There's the train. Made it to the other side of the wash. Here's a quick look. You can see here where the headlights would have been. Well, there we have it. We made it. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Nothing there. And this looks like a beaver dam in here. I'm sure this place does flood occasionally when, you know, the off chance Arizona does get this phenomenon known as rain. I'm sure beavers probably, or whatever other animal does that. Make a little den out here.
Fun facts, if anybody cares, beavers, just like otters in Arizona, were once wiped out by fur trappers in the 1800s, but thanks to relocation efforts in the late 90s, the beaver population is making a comeback. As of 2023, there's been an estimate of around 200 beavers across the entire state of Arizona. There's a thing you know.
Well, whatever this was, it was a 4-door. I have no clue. For a second, I was going to climb up this way, but then I remembered if this stuff is as loose as the other stuff further down the canyon here, if I step into that stuff, I'm going to sink into it, and the rest of that dirt is probably going to come tumbling down on me. Not a good idea. I'm wondering if this one here wasn't an El Camino. Just has that look to it. Some of these vehicles kind of look like the Bonnie and Clyde mobile because of the bullets. The one post that I found online about this place in a forum said there's easily 50, 60 cars here. I think that's what you can see. If you could dig down and go underneath, I bet there's probably another 50 to 60 more.
Now for the million-dollar question. How did all of these cars end up down here? Well, I can tell you with great certainty that it is not the result of the mafia dumping cars here after they whacked people for cheating in casinos, although that would make for a really cool backstory. I asked the gentleman that I met on the way out here that same question, and here's what he said. He told me that before they put in the highway that's nearby, there used to be a big junkyard out here, and they, I'm assuming he meant the state, offered him a bunch of money so that way they could purchase his property and continue on with building the highway. He took the money and basically pushed all of the remaining cars that were in the junkyard into a wash, and based on the style of cars, I can only assume that this probably happened around the mid 1950s. And when I later searched for when the nearby highway was completed, an article had stated that this highway was completed in 1960. So it lines up.
So this place does not have a name, but after walking around here and checking it out, I think I'm going to dub it the car wash.
Now, before we make it out to my next desert find, if anybody watching knows the make and models of any of these cars, feel free to list them down in the comments section below and include timestamps if you'd like. And for those of you that are about to ask the question, where is this, and try to tell me that I shouldn't gatekeep and I should share this location with everyone so that way we can all enjoy this. Well, you know what? You are right. I don't normally do this, but every once in a while I feel like I can make an exception. So here it goes. The location of these cars is...
It's at the corner of get a map and off. Figure it out yourself.
Before I came out here, I scoped out the outskirts of the town to see if I could find anything else worth exploring. It was getting late, but I thought if I pedaled fast enough, I could make it out there to see what it was that I found on Google Earth, in the event that... Yep, that just happened. But thankfully, the DJI Mini 4 Pro is pretty resilient and crashes gracefully into trees. I got it down and checked out the gimbal, made sure it wasn't damaged, along with the propellers, brushed off the dust, and as you can see, I got it back up in the air within a matter of minutes. The collision sensors do work great on this drone, but they do not work the best in low light. And to be honest, I was biking a little fast for the drone to keep up and recognize any obstacles in its path. And for anyone that might be new to my channel, my drone, which is the DJI Mini 4 Pro, has a feature called Active Track, which is what allows the drone to follow and stay locked onto me as I ride my bike. And I will link that drone down in the description along with all the other gear that I use to make these videos. Unfortunately, I did not have enough time to hike out to this one, and as soon as I got my drone up in the air, I had to abort my flight, mainly because it started to rain. But mark my words, I will go back out here because there was a lot more than just this car. And if you do want to see more desert exploration videos like this one, just click that playlist in the upper left-hand corner. But if you want to see an abandoned junkyard full of old cars, click the video in the upper right-hand corner.